Hi all, this is Jan Almighty and welcome to this video. A bit of a different video today. Clearly I can say that because I'm covered in all of my Croatian supporter gear. So there is actually a reason behind it. I'm not cheering for my football team because they are playing crazy bad and everybody hates them at the moment, including me. I mean, you always cheer for them because you have to and you're kind of proud of them and everything, but man. But I'm getting off topic. So, also, I'm not mocking Fabiano Caruana, covering myself into my flag like he did yesterday when he was given a flag of the, so I can maybe even try to, like, yeah, something like this. I won a game against Qxg4 and then I go on and celebrate the win in the candidates and talk about how Carlsen would be scared in the November, you know, stuff like that. But no, there is actually one other thing. One thing that I'm particularly proud today to talk about, and especially because I have a YouTube channel and I can talk about that. Winning in chess stuff, winning for Croatia, which is Ivan Šarić, the guy with the white pieces here, playing against David Navara in round 11 today in Batumi, Georgia. He managed to win the game. He crushed him. Yeah. That's what we Croatians do. And he became the European chess champion. So couldn't be happier for Ivan here. It was 12 years from the last Croatian European chess champion in Zdenko Kožul in 2006. And I covered a game from this championship where Šarić played against Bosiocic. And it was a nice game to show because you had two Croatian players on a very high table playing together. But that was round 5. And now after that, Šarić had 4.5 points. And after that, he actually lost the game against Radoslav Vojtašek. So let me just show you the final standings. So as you can see, Šarić is first. Way to go, man. So 8.5 points, so half a point in front of a lot of people. Radoslav Vojtašek ended up third, and yeah, after that he drew 2 games, and last 3 rounds he won all of them, and went on this amazing feat in order to just win the European Chess Championship. You can see a range of very strong players in this championship. One guy you don't see, who actually you all know and actually participated in this championship, is Vasily Ivanchuk. He lost the game in the last round, and so he isn't on this list. I mean, you had a lot of players playing, so yeah, to actually enter here and be first, it's really a good achievement. So good on you, Ivan. Yeah, there are no words to describe actually the joy and yeah, just me being proud of having once again the European chess champion. So let me just get rid of this. But one thing is for certain, if I wanted just one guy from all of the range of chess players in Croatia to become the champion, it is Ivan, because Ivan is such a good guy. He is a guy who when I was younger, so he was the guy who you looked up to, guy who actually went on and had all of these achievements in chess. When he was playing a junior championship of Europe under 18, he won, so he was a winner there. Then after that, the next year he won the world junior championship under 20, and then after some years now he is winning the senior European championship. So achievement after achievement, and I'm really proud that Croatia has a really strong player in Ivan Šarić. And when you're thinking about, okay, these are some kind of championships, okay, he is not playing at the top level, let me just tell you one thing. Šarić has 1.5 points out of 2 games against Magnus Carlsen, the current world champion, in official games. So this is also one thing to think about. I'm really glad that Šarić is achieving these things and making all of the Croatia happy when we are feeling sad watching our football team play. So yeah, enough about that. Let me just show you the game. So we have e4 and c5. So David Navara, for those of you who don't know, a very strong chess Czech grandmaster, chess Czech grandmaster, yeah, and he has a rating over 2700. So we're not talking about some guy who just came to play chess. We are talking about really strong player. I heard about Navara even when I was very young, started playing chess, so he is a guy who has been around and has a lot of experience, especially playing chess on a top level. and he plays the hyper accelerated dragon here. So the variation of the Sicilian where you want to put the bishop on g7 on as soon as possible. And now there are two approaches to actually play against it. We have c3, which I usually play, and you have bishop g7, d4. Let me just show you quickly this variation, and after d5, e5. Pretty much this variation is kind of forced. All of the moves are calculated. Maybe on this kind of a game you don't want to play, because if your opponent knows the variations, then yeah, you cannot hope for much than a draw. So here, instead of that, Ivan played d4 right away, and we have the normal Sicilian c takes on d4 and knight takes on d4, and now bishop to g7. And now one important thing that you could take in and play in your own games is c4 here. This is a move that is available to you when your opponent plays the Sicilian. He plays the move with the pawn, but he doesn't play knight to f6, so that you are kind of forced to play knight to c3. So c4 is a possibility, and it is done with one special goal, and that is to prevent d5, because d5 is one of the most important moves that black wants to make in a Sicilian, and this way he needs to figure out what to do else. Knight to c6 and bishop to e3 guarding, knight to f6 and knight to c3 once again guarding the pawn. And now we have knight to g4. So the idea of this variation is to attack this dark square bishop, and white definitely doesn't want to allow it, because in the end black will stay with the dark square bishop, and this is a very big advantage from the start. So having the dark square bishop in the Sicilian dragon or hyper accelerated dragon from the opening brings black much advantage, which he will use later to probably even win the game. So we have queen takes on g4 and knight takes on d4, once again not exchanging but bringing the queen back to d1. We have e5 and now bishop to d3, and now they continue with the development. d6, castles, castles. And now it is time to make a plan with white, because you developed your minor pieces. Now you can maybe play queen to d2, seems like a normal move, king to h1 and maybe try to push f4, or you want to expand on the queen side. And Šarić did that. He played a4. So we have bishop to e6 and a5. Usually you would play a4 if black had a6 and b5 in mind, or you would play a5 if a6 was played. But no, Šarić here is thinking about right away how to win this game. I want to make my plan clear from the start. What do I want to do? And I want to go towards that goal, to actually expand on the queen side, create a passed pawn, and go for that victory. And that's what he does here. After queen to d7, he immediately offers the exchange of queens. And this is not a thing you want to do here if you want to go for a draw. He has a clear idea how to go for a win here. Queen takes on a4 and rook takes on a4. Don't capture with the knight, put it on the edge of the board. No, this knight will want to jump on d5, because there he will be a very strong knight controlling all over the board. We have rook from f to c8 occupying the c file, and now knight to d5. Of course, because of that, bishop wants to capture it. You don't want to leave the knight on d5, and e captures on d5. Once again, one very important part of the game, or one very important decision. Do you want to take on c takes on d5? This is essentially an invitation for a draw. When you take, the c file is open, you give black some chances, you want to exchange rooks on the c file. Rather here, Šarić took e takes on d5, decided I will give you some space in the center and on the king side, but I'm going to push b4 and create a pass pawn on the queen side. Because of that, Navara goes rook to e8, and now we have rook to e1. f5, and here king to f1. Also possible was bishop takes on d4 and then king to f1 to defend the rook, but Šarić decided to play king to f1 right away. We have king to f7, and now b4. The expansion starts. The pawn storm is coming. Rook from a to c8, because c5 could be an idea, so you want to play that. Maybe a better move for Navara instead of this here could have been e4, and now after bishop moves you have this knight to c2, attacking the rook and the bishop. And when the rook comes here, knight to e3, f takes on e3, and now he has this very strong bishop on this diagonal and this very strong pawn chain where all the pawns are on light squares. Very good position for black, and b6 now stopping c5 would be looking really good for him. So this was a possibility, but he played, as I said, rook from a to c8, and now we have rook to c1. And now after e4, bishop to e2, there is no this idea of knight jumping to c2. We have bishop to e5, threatening f4, so g3, and rook to c7 wants to double up on the c file, and we have c5. And now this was maybe a mistake made by Navara, because we have bishop takes on d4, bishop takes on d4, and now c6. Once to create a passed pawn, you have to deal with it, so you capture, but the main idea is not to capture on c6, because then you just lose the pawn. b5, attacking once again on c6 and also attacking this undefended bishop. Here you don't want to take, because yeah, you just lose the bishop. So here Navara played c5, but he doesn't stop the threat, because b6 is a move, a takes on b6, a takes on b6, and now after the rook moves somewhere, he cannot move to c6, rook captures on d4. And after c captures on d4, we have rook captures on c8 and rook captures on b6. After all of this, yeah, Navara just lost a piece, but he got rid of all of Šarić's passed pawns. So now he has to deal with this strong pawn chain, and yeah, have to see how he will win all of these pawns. We have king to e1 first. You want to play bishop to d1 if there are some checks, so get rid of that idea. And we have g5, bishop to d1 and rook to b1, pinning, and now g4, an excellent move. So the idea is you want to break off this pawn chain, so because you want to play rook to c4, and when this pawn is taken or something, this pawn, if he moves to d3, isn't defended anymore. We have f takes on g4 and rook to c4, and now the king comes closer. Rook takes on d4 and rook to king to e5, rook to a4, with an idea if black takes, then you can have rook to a5 check. We have h5 guarding on g4 and king to d2 going out of the pin. King to d5 takes, and now bishop to c2, attacking twice on the e4 pawn, cannot be defended, so rook to g1 was played. Rook to a5 check, king to d4, and now bishop to b3. Wants to rook to d5 check, so threatening to give rook to d5 checkmate. We have e3, f takes on e3 check, king e4, bishop to c2, king to f3, and rook to f5. So all of these checks are forced, and king has to go away from the center and goes into the corner of the board. And now finally you take on g5. King takes on h2, and you take on h5 with check. And now there is only one pawn difference, and white is clearly guarding on e3, and black wouldn't be able to actually just capture easily this pawn. We have king to g3, and now bishop to d1, attacking this pawn, rook g2 check, and bishop to e2. Now you have to do something, because yeah, you're just cramped into this corner with the king and the rook. So rook to f2, and we have king to e1. And now rook to g2 back, and rook to d5 attacking this pawn, rook to g1 check, and king to d2. Rook comes to a1 so that he can give checks from behind, but now rook to d4 attacking twice on the g4 pawn, rook to a2, king e1, rook to a1 check, and bishop d1. So covering so that there are no more checks. And now king to h3. Now don't go right away for the g4 pawn, because rook to d1 is with check, king captures and king captures, and this is a draw. In the end, you lose the chance to win the European Championship. Rather, instead of that, you play rook captures on d6, what Šarić played. There are that many pawns, and you can capture all of them. So we have g3, king to f1, the bishop is defended by the rook, g2, and king to g1. So yeah, now in a sense the black cannot promote, and Šarić needs to find a way how to push the pawn to promotion. Rook to b1 still in the pin for the bishop, rook to d2, and rook to c1. We have e4, king to g3, and now e5. Now this king cannot manage to stop this pawn, the rook needs to handle it, so he plays rook to c6, rook to d4, threatening rook to g4 check, rook c5, rook g4, king h3, and rook to e4. Now the rook is behind the pawn, and he can just push it calmly to a promotion. So we have rook to c3 and e6. Rook to d3 attacking, so rook to e1, simple, just defending the bishop. And now after that we have rook to d4, e7, and rook to h4. Probably wanted to have some ideas of king to g3, rook to h1 checkmate, but Šarić finds that checkmate in one here, which is a rook to e3 checkmate, sorry. So in this position there was no resignation, there was actually a win by checkmate. Šarić did it, and he has become the European chess champion. So congratulations on that, Ivan. As I said, I couldn't be happier. Really don't know what to say. Let me just show you the standings once more for the end of this video. Šarić is first, half a point in front of how many, 7 people. People of ratings over 2700, you know, Anton Korobov from that Rapid Championship, you know, Safarli Eltaj, David Navara. There are many players who are very well known in this list. Ernesto Inarkiev, the doubly legal move guy from the Blitz Championship, and yeah, so many good players and everything. And Šarić did it. Šarić won the first place. I don't want to repeat it all over and over on this video. I just want to leave you with that beautiful thought that Croatia in the end has once again the European chess champion. For the end, congrats Ivan. I'm really glad. I'm really happy for you. And yeah, guys, I appreciate this. Croatia has a very good chess player, and there are some other players, you know. Yeah, that being said, yeah, I would like to thank you for watching this video. Yeah, I plan to do actually today some game from the stories, but this for me was very much more important, so I did a video from the European Championship today. And yeah, from tomorrow I guess we are getting back on track. Yeah, that's pretty much it. As I said, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.